When darkness fell, the rumors always seemed more real. Shigoko Hasegawa shifted on the threadbare futon, listening to the cicadas buzz. Shafts of moonlight fell diffused through the shoji rice paper screen doors of the farmhouse she lived in with her father. The old wooden one-story structure was falling apart. Her father had promised that the harvest would bring them enough money to repair the leaky roof and some of the timbers that had seen better days. But the harvest was still weeks away, and Shigoko wasn't even sure it would earn them enough to last the winter. At 18, she should have been married off by now. But she'd steadfastly refused to even entertain the last offer that had come from another farming family in the next village. Shigoko didn't want to be married and confined to a life of waiting on her husband. She longed to roam the countryside in the service of the local daimyo Munetomo as one of his famed samurai warriors. But she was just a girl. And worse, she'd been born into a farming family. Shigoko tucked her hands behind her head and stared up at the simple shelf across the room. On it, an old kabuto samurai helmet sat defying the passage of time. Shigoko dutifully dusted it each day so it never looked worse for wear. It had belonged to her father once. A long time ago. A long time before he'd retired and given up the ways of a warrior for the back-breaking work of a farmer. Shigoko never understood why he had forsaken the path for the uncertainty of farming. After all, the path of a samurai was carved in stone. Fight hard and die in service to your lord. What could be more honorable than that? But Shigoko's father disagreed with the politics that often resulted in the spilled blood of young men. Besides, he'd told her one evening after dinner, there is much honor to be gained from providing others with food so they may live and enjoy life. Beneath the kabuto rested the katana sword that her father had once used. He never touched it these days. This blade, he'd said, has taken more lives than it has preserved. I want nothing more to do with it. Sometimes, when her father would go into town to buy or sell or trade with others, Shigoko would unsheathe the nearly 3-foot blade and practice swinging it outside in the fields furthest from the small road that led to their farm. After all, she was not a samurai, and even being seen with the sword in her possession could result in her death if another warrior spotted such an offense. How was it, she so often wondered, that her own destiny had cruelly placed her in such a lowly position? Born a girl first, and then also into farming of all things. They were both so far from what she wanted to achieve in her life. And yet, it was the fate she'd been handed by the gods. A gentle breeze blew in from the east, and the tree branches seemed to shiver, rustling in the night. Shigoko pulled the blanket up closer to her chin. Night was when she felt the most vulnerable. Lately, there had been rumors spreading through the countryside. Rumors of creatures that wandered the dark woods and preyed upon the isolated homes of villagers. The only evidence they left behind were smears of blood and ruined homes. No bodies were ever found. An undulating snore interrupted her thoughts. Her father, sleeping in the next room, had shifted onto his back. Shigoko smiled in spite of herself. She loved her father dearly, and he never pressured her to get married. He knew that she had dreams, that she wished for a life beyond what he'd been able to give her. Shigoko's mother had died when she was but 3. It had been her father and her ever since. Someday, you'll find your place in this world, her father had told her. Just be sure it's what you truly want. Sometimes we can become so fixated on what we think we desire that we miss the true path destiny sets before us.